Okay, this is a video about my engine swap experience with my Cub Cadet LT1018. I'm not going to go over step by step. Obviously, the job is done. This video is more about giving you some tips on little gotchas. I'll give you some engine model information and kind of step you through, tools, some of the tools, common tools you're going to need. Okay, so let's start with the old engine. This is a Briggs single cylinder, rated at 18.5. It's a model 31Q777 0305. It's got, just to kind of go around, fuel pump. It's got the starter. This has the square filter in it. And the exhaust here is just a straight pipe, and I'll show you that in a moment. So here's the replacement engine I ordered, 33S877. I learned that the R, I guess, is the prior model or the non-professional, and the S is the professional, rated at 19 horsepower. Here's the packing box. It came with a muffler, which of course I didn't need. And let me show you the engine next. Okay, this is the replacement engine. Like I say, it's 19 horsepower, so you're probably thinking, oh, it's half a horsepower greater than the old engine. Well, this is 540cc. The old one was 500. This is more than half a horsepower. I discovered that, I think it was 2009 or 2011, horsepower rating standards changed. Actually, there are prior models of this engine that were rated at 21. This is the biggest Briggs single cylinder engine you can get. If you get any more horses than this, you're going to get the 2-cylinder engine. So like I say, this puts out more. I think it's about 2 more horsepower. So I think what happened, this one was rated for 21. Then the new standards come out. They bumped it down to 19. But of course, the old engine is from 2004 and was rated at 18.5 with the prior standard. So everything you see here came on the engine, up to and including the fuel filter, obviously oil filter. Let's go to the other side here. Starter, like I said earlier, the muffler, this is hot, I just finished mowing. The muffler came mounted here. I needed the straight pipe, so you just take the old muffler and the little extension piece off, and then the straight pipe fits right in. Bolt pattern, perfect fit. Wiring harness, also perfect fit. Perfect fit here. Perfect fit for the PTO clutch. And let's see, what will we go over next? Okay, I guess now I will go over the engine swap process, high level. Of course, you pull the hood off. You got a little spring there. You got to clip off. You got to take the headlight wiring harness off. Then the whole hood completely lifts off. You want to take the exhaust pipe off. Be careful, it's hot. Now, here you can get the T45 in those slots. With that new muffler, I had a really hard time getting the T45 in there, so I had to actually hit it with a flat blade screwdriver to break it loose. Before I put the old pipe back on the new engine, I put some anti-seize on those bolts so those things won't seize up on me. So anyway, back to the disassembly. You take the hood off. Obviously, you take the deck off. Then you got to take the PTO off. That's a 5/8 bolt. You can see it there. You take the PTO off, drops down. Make sure you disconnect the electrical first. Then above that is the belt, is the engine pulley. Now, I did not fool around with taking the old engine pulley off. I tugged on it a couple times, but that baby was on there tight. So I just bought a new pulley for 30 bucks. Before you put the new pulley on the new engine, put a little anti-seize. Same thing before you put the PTO clutch back on. Okay, so back to disassembly. Once you get all the PTO off, all you have to do at that point, disconnect your wiring harness, your starter cable. By the way, quick aside, starter cable nut and the throttle cable bracket here, this little part here, only 2 parts I had to really transfer from the old engine. So anyway, back to the disassembly. So you take, you've got 4 engine bolts here, you take them off, the whole, obviously disconnect the fuel line, and the whole thing, the whole engine comes off. Now, this reassembling, these engine mounts were not tapped from the factory. So the manual says that the bolts from the original bolts are self-tapping. I wasn't so sure about that. I bought for $8 or $9. I bought this. Of course, I didn't need the bit. The holes were there. They just weren't tapped. I got a 3/8/16 tap and tap those babies. So let me show you how I did that. This ladder is set up, it'll make like an L shape. So I put a couple little strips of wood on it, set the new engine on top, and then I had easy access from underneath. Put a little oil on the tap, and those babies tap no problem. I just put them right in my Ryobi drill. No, the tap handle, none of that. Just put them right in the drill. Nice and easy. Boom, right up through. Down through, clean it off. I dipped it in oil several times, kept it clean, kept the debris out, and the tap part went great. Okay, so my video might be cut short here. The reason the mower's a little dirty is because I mowed and it's starting to rain. Let me see what I can power through here. So getting the new motor on, you bolt it down, get the PTO, the pulleys, the PTO back on, connect the fuel line. I had a little trouble with the throttle cable and the choke. The choke was actually pretty easy, but the throttle cable, I must have moved it around when I disconnected it and forgot how it was routed. Finally, I remembered, and you can actually see a little wear mark there. That's where it was routed right before. So it took me a while to figure that out. But anyway, so you just reconnect the throttle, reconnect the choke, and that's actually pretty easy. I'll warn you that I actually took the whole throttle handle and everything off just to give me a little more flexibility in routing the cable. But I'm sorry, back to the warning, this choke cable, getting that choke cable attached up in there is really difficult. So you take 4 bolts off. One, they're 3/8 heads, 2, and then there's 2 more on the other side. Take this air cleaner off, pop the air filter off, and lift this whole housing up. Oh, there's a screw. There's a tiny single flathead screw down in there too. You take that out and those 4 bolts and the air cleaner, and this whole thing lifts up, gives you a lot more access, so you can take this choke cable and hook it down in, sort of angle it from the top and get it hooked in there. So that's how I did that. Took me a lot of extra time, but versus breaking this choke cable or bending it or doing something stupid, I think it was totally worth the time. And that was pretty much it. I mean, I took my time. I probably took more time than I needed to. I tell you one thing, this thing has a lot more pull to it than the other one. The other engine, when I would engage the blades, you could hear the engine kind of choke down a little bit. This baby doesn't flinch. Don't forget to fill it with oil. It takes about 1.5 quarts, a little bit less than that. The engine came dry, but there was, some remnant, so clearly they had run it and then drained it. I double checked the drain plug to make sure it was tight, before I filled it up. But it took just under 1.5 quarts. So that's, I believe that's it. Let me think here. Stand by. Big one here. Access to these bolts. The front two, this one and the one right over there, pretty easy. The backs are more difficult. The other side, you just have to turn the wheel and you get pretty good access to it. This side, not so easy. So all you do is you take a 9/16 wrench, take this off, drop the steering rod, and it gives you access. Well, you still have to kind of move the wheel around, but it does give you access to that bolt from underneath with the socket. It's a 9/16. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to get through is just sizes. I think I mentioned 3/8. This was 9/16. This is 9/16. These are cotter pins. What else? Is there anything else? Oh, I have these screws on the battery terminal. These are 11 mil. That's 11 mil. 11 mil. And I'm not sure I remember what some of these other... Well, the exhaust was T45. And I think that's about it. So if you have questions about how to do this, post it in the comments. I will answer your questions. So I appreciate you watching, and as always, I hope this was helpful to the next person who gives it a shot.